guys, we're going to have a look at the ThunderCats Classics Panthro figure today. This is the final entry in the Classics line from Mattel, and it's kind of a sad note for me because this is a line I had a lot of hope and promise for. So let's take a look and see what he has to offer. All right, now let's take a quick look at packaging, and as is the norm for the line, we've got the black mailer box with the ThunderCat logo, Panthro's name. We have got some artwork of Panthro. The back is blank, and then we've got the cat's lair on the other side. Let's pop him out real quick and take a look at him out of the box, out of the mailer, and you can see we've got that same Lion-O style package with the Sword of Omens coming up into the plastic. We've got our accessories, our figure, and that same red background. We've got some more artwork of Panthro on the side. We have got Panthro on the back with the cat's lair, as well as our bio of the character, and then we've got the ThunderCat logo and the character name. Let's pull them out. All right, so here's our Panthro figure, and right out the gate, I can say that this guy has a lot of new sculpting on him. I know that the line shares a lot of parts from Motu Classics. That's a big key element of Motu Classics, as you know, is Motu in general, is that shared parts are a big thing. So some parts are shared amongst other characters in this line. He does have some, but there's also a lot of new stuff here. So, you know, head's obviously new. I believe the ankles are new, the shins are new, the feet are new. This chest piece is obviously new. So, you know, we've just got a lot of new stuff on here, and there's some good and there's some bad about this figure. You know, the main thing I like is that I think they really nailed the head sculpt. What I don't like is that the ears are kind of flimsy and kind of rubbery, and this guy's kind of fixed himself over time, but the ears were kind of like pushed into the head a little bit, and you know, I was kind of worried they were going to stay that way, but they kind of came back to life. They're not perfect, but you know, they kind of give a little too much, I think. Overall, I think the sculpt on him is incredibly solid. He is shorter than Lion-O, which is good because Panthro is not the tall one. He's the shortest of the adult ThunderCats. So he's shorter and he's stockier, and I think they really killed this sculpt. The armor is removable. We've got the spikes. They're not sharp in any way. And overall, I think he looks more like the cartoon counterpart than Lion-O does. And I think he looks better than Pumaira. And I think he looks, you know, exactly like I hoped he would look. He's a really nice looking figure. I really like the paint job on the face. They really nailed those eyes and those kind of bushy eyebrows. So let's go over the figure in a little more detail. So we'll go with articulation. Ball joint with a hinge so he can look up. And he can look down just a little bit. We've got an ab crunch, but the armor gets in the way, so you're not going to be having him hunched over. We've got hinge and full rotation at the shoulder, so he can put his arm out just as far as you need to. We've got the standard bicep swivel, single jointed elbow. We've got hinge and swivel at the wrist. We have got waist rotation. The belt, or kind of the bottom of the harness, does kind of get in the way a little bit, but not enough where you're going to have an issue turning him. We have legs that go out about that far. They go out just as far as they can go, really, but, you know, he sits down pretty much. I can have him do the splits if you want to. So we've got the thigh swivel. We have got a single jointed knee, and it only goes about, you know, that far back. We have got no boot swivel, so there's no rotation at the shin. We do have a rocker and a hinge at the foot, however. So he's not loaded with articulation, but he's pretty much got the standard for a Motu ThunderCat Classic figure. And so far I haven't really come into a situation where I need anything more, but it was kind of, you know, I would have liked to maybe have a double jointed knee. That'd have been nice. Single jointed elbow is always a thing, so I wasn't expecting a double, but it would have been nice as well, but it's too late in the game for something like that. Now, as far as sculpt goes, like I said, I really like it. I think it's great. All the details are here. We've got kind of the leathery, rubbery harness. So, and it's also textured a bit to make it look like an aged leather. We've got the band on the arm represented. We've got the sculpted details on the shin guards, so the wrappings on them. The armor is removable, if I didn't already mention that. Just pops off. So he's he's really well built. I think it's a solid figure. As far as paint apps go, I don't have too many issues. I've seen some folks with some problems on theirs, but I don't have any issues that I really want to speak about. I do have a blemish on the emblem, which is kind of an unfortunate spot to have it. There's a little, it came out of the box with like what looks like a little scratch on it. Now beyond that, my face is pretty good. You know, this area, the muzzle area of the mouth is a possible area of concern, but it's painted pretty well. I do have a little gray splotch right here. The eyes look really good on this figure though. They're looking forward and they are painted correctly. We've got pupils and we've got the iris. Everything looks pretty solid there. Ears look pretty good. And then the majority of the figure is molded in this gray plastic. So that's not painted. The chest is painted and it's pretty good. We've got, you know, decent kind of fuzzy lines though. And then the shins are painted with the darker blue for the bands, but then they're molded blue plastic. Now, other than that, I don't really have too many issues. Like I said, I think he's one of the better looking figures. Lion-O is still subjectively my favorite, but objectively speaking, I think Panthro is a bit of a better figure, just for what he includes. And we're going to talk about accessories here in just a minute. And then overall, I think with the extra sculpting that the Four Horsemen did for this guy, and I know they released an image, it seems like forever ago at this point, where they showed all of the new sculpt on this guy. I think they really kind of went the extra mile for Panthro in comparison to what they did with some of the other ThunderCats figures. So let's take a look at accessories now. All right, now it wouldn't be a Panthro figure without his nunchucks, so we're going to talk about those first. We've got the red and the blue handles here, and the main problem I have with these accessories is that the paint seems to rub off them very easily. You can see I've got some silver showing through, or some gray showing through there, and then on this one it's showing through as well. It's not a huge problem, but I figure I wouldn't have expected it to have rubbed off that easily. They haven't been moved too much, and I believe that the blue one came with this missing piece here, because I've never put it in his hand that far up. It is a real chain, so you know, metal chain, so that's really nice. I really like it. It looks well. This is how I plan to display him in some fashion with this configuration. So I really like the nunchucks. They look great, aside from the paint chipping issue, which is a bummer, but what are you gonna do? Now the other things that he has a Treasure of Thundera. We've got the key to Thundera. This opens the Book of Omens. This is just a cool little thing. I mean, Panthro has this in the show towards the end of the series, and it's nice to have it included. Can't really do a whole lot with it. I can't get him to hold it like exceptionally well. I mean, it's just going to sit in his hand, so there's nothing dynamic about this at all. But it's a cool little thing to have with him. My only gripe, and it's not a gripe with this figure, but with the motive for including this, is that Pumaira got a treasure. She got the Totem of Dera. And Panthro gets the key to Thundera. Why did Lion-O not get the Book of Omens? Maybe they were intending to give that to Jaga, because he was supposedly planned for the end of 2016 or beginning of 2017 had this line not gone down the toilet. So maybe that was it. It just seems odd that the Lord of the ThunderCats does not get a treasure that the others would have gotten. So cool little piece, sculpted in gold plastic. Got the brown kind of lanyard on it, and then the ThunderCats logo. Some sculpted detail on it, so it looks pretty good. We have also got one of Panthro's creations here. We've got a Thundrillium detector. It's just a little piece of gray plastic, but he can hold it in his hand just fine in any of them. And then it's got the ThunderCats insignia on it, and then kind of a dial on it. So it's just a cool little thing, another one. So that's another accessory that Panthro gets. So he's kind of loaded with accessories overall in terms of, you know, what you get for, you know, your money's worth here. He does have an extra hand. This is an extra left hand, and it's a little bit of a tighter grip, and I'll talk about this one here in a second. The other and final accessory that he has is this big thing. It's not an umbrella. It's a cool idea. It's a cool accessory in theory, but I'm not sure that overall I really like it, and I don't think I'm ever going to be displaying him with it. So this is a nunchuck that is in motion. So this is a swinging action kind of nunchuck. So you can rotate it around, and it looks like he's swinging it. Now, the problem I have with this is that I think, for one, it's sculpted incorrectly. So you can see that we've got some chain on here. So this is to indicate that the blue is swinging. Why is there not like a solid piece of chain coming out of this? There should be more to this. It looks too short to me. This doesn't look right. I don't know. It looks funny to me. It's also wavy as hell, and I'm not sure it's supposed to look like that. I think it's because of the nature of the plastic that it's made out of. So he also has a very hard time holding it because it's kind of heavy compared to what it is. So I'm not really sure how it should be displayed. So when I have used it, I've popped this one in, and you know, it's a bit of a tighter fit, but you can try to get this hand to hold the accessory. See? It just pops out. So it's not a very long peg that it just pops in with. And we'll pop that in his hand real quick. And see, it's already falling over. So I don't think it's a good accessory in practice. I think it's a cool idea though. And I kind of, you know, I can definitely applaud them for doing this. But at the same time, I'm never going to display them like this. So it's kind of cool, but ultimately I think it kind of falls a little short. So good idea, but maybe not the best in practice. All right, so overall, like I said, I feel like this is one of the, objectively speaking, best figures in the line. I don't see how there's much room for debate in that regard either. I think he's definitely better than Pumara. I think he's better than Lion-O in terms of, you know, sculpt and overall look, because Lion-O still has some funny things about the head that I have problems with, along with the odd issues of the claw shield. But you know, I mean, it's a solid figure. I think he looks really, really good. I'm pleased with the paint job. I'm pleased with the sculpt. Did have a little bit of, you know, gripe with the QC on those nunchuck staffs. They just seem to chip way too easily. And then, of course, I had the problem with the emblem on his belt being kind of scuffed already. But beyond that, I really, really think that Panthro was a solid way to send this line out. Obviously, we didn't get the full team. Maybe we will with Super 7. That remains to be seen, though. I certainly hope we do. You know, so if you really wanted ThunderCats, I mean, these are obviously the best ThunderCats figures we've ever gotten, and potentially will ever get, because they don't seem to get a fair shake in the toy world. So, you know, I am pleased with this guy. He does have a few little issues, and he's not a perfect figure, but none of the figures in this line are perfect. But overall, I think what they did here was really great. They added a lot of new sculpted pieces, and overall, he looks as close to his cartoon counterpart as I think they could have done. So I am once again pleased with the Four Horsemen's work. So that's going to do it for this review, everyone. As always, stay tuned to Toy Bro for more reviews. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know down there if you agree or disagree with Panthro. I'd love to know what everybody thinks about this guy. So until next time.